Hi, welcome to Ref Lounge. Happy New Year to everyone. This week we're going to do something slightly different in the sense that we're going to just review half the season so far and all the match officials that have had games. I'm joined by Keith Hackett, so an expert on everything that we're about to discuss. What I think are our leading four.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I've got a middle group. Now these are my steady, who I think we can call on at any time and who will do us a really, really good job. Okay, there's errors in there, but a good job. People who I think you could move on or move down, and I think people who a little bit unfair at the end on Ollie Langford and Tim Robinson. They've only done the one game. I don't know too much about them, but in saying that, I've got Rob Jones there. Having watched him Brighton and Sheffield United, and I thought he were outstanding.
Yeah.
So he's over there. So, do you agree with my top four? So, I've got Mike Dean, who I personally think is the best ref at the moment. Michael Oliver, okay. We've got Martin Atkinson. Now, I've put Anthony Taylor here, but I've dropped him down because the last few games I've seen him do, I can't believe the deterioration in his game, and something's wrong. Don't know what it is, but he should be at that fourth person. Do you agree?
I'm not disagreeing. I think that Martin Atkinson is a safe pair of hands. He's, if you like, the older member of the group, along with Mike Dean. He's got the most experience, and I think he's delivered fairly consistently. For the future, and my whole career as the boss of the PGMOL was to say, it's the next game, not the ones that have gone. Use the ones that have gone to review performance. So for me, we've really got to work on Michael Oliver as our number one. He is there, in my opinion, as number one. So we slightly disagree on that. But he's only going to be number one if he gets the big appointments and he delivers. And in fairness, in recent months, I think he's delivered. His downside, if you like, which is down to appointments. And I think sometimes on what he sees as a medium level game, teams are towards the bottom of the league, he sees less challenging, and I think sometimes he goes into like remote control rather than actually put the incentive in that he would in the top game. Yeah.
So, because the thing is at the end of the day, I've got Mike Dean there based on current performances.
Oh, he's been outstanding.
Michael Oliver is our future. He's our lead, and he is on there. The middle group.
I'd just like to come in if I may. And
of course you can. No, you're fine.
Anthony Taylor concerns me.
Okay.
And he concerns me on a few counts. First of all, is he getting too many games, and is he dropping form down to fatigue? Seriously, you can only look at that when you actually analyse the statistics.
He's had 17 Premier League games. He's been in virtually every round of the Champions League.
Yes.
I don't know the stats on that.
Yeah.
So he's had quite a few games so far.
My fear is that he appears, from where I'm sitting, I think the powers that be in London are driving him for Euro 2020 as a lead referee.
Right.
That wouldn't be my stance. I would be saying to them, look, I want performance every game, I want consistency, and therefore you would rightly give him the big games.
Yeah.
I think some of his drop in form is fatigue, but I also worry about his actual decision making.
Yes.
That is, the accuracy in terms of, is that a foul, is it not a foul? The other night, in the game that he had,
Arsenal Leeds,
I thought that was a pretty poor performance, and there was one Arsenal player that committed 4 reckless challenges, or should I say 3 reckless, and 1 clear act of simulation, and he got nothing from it. And of course, in that scenario, then the Leeds players think, is there fairness here? And the first time a Leeds player steps over that edge, out pops the yellow card. I worried about that performance, and he should worry about that performance.
Yeah, but he'd also had the Tottenham-Chelsea game as well, and he didn't come out of that smelling the roses either.
No.
So there's something there, and it is a bit of a worry. It is.
What
would you do? Right, so I'm Anthony Taylor, okay, I've put into indifferent performances, but I'm still smiling on the pitch and talking and everything else like that. How do you get that bit back to say, do you know what, no, I'm not performing?
I used to use the Championship as a means where there's less pressure. Select a game, expect him to referee it, don't get me wrong, but just get form back, get confidence back. He must know in his own mind that it's not going as well as it could be, and that happens with a referee.
Yeah.
And the honesty is that you've got to recognise that.
You have, so, okay. The middle group, okay, I don't know, we'll go through each one. Stuart Atwell at the moment for me is really pushing to go over.
I think I've been impressed with Stuart this season. I think he's having a good season.
Yeah.
And, you know, we talk about this movement and positioning. He's got all that. He's a fit cookie. And, you know, when we look at it, I listen to sometimes the coaches talking about the tactics and is it zonal marking, is it man-to-man marking? Well, in refereeing, when we talk about movement and positioning, it's about zonal movement.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want that ball to go 20 yards beyond, because that's when you start to lose the edge of accuracy in decision making. So for me, he covers that movement. He applies the dynamic sprint, but I think he's now maturing as an individual. Players are beginning to give him a bit of respect because he's getting the accuracy with the decision making.
So, well, another one is Paul Tierney. Now he had to me a rocky start. Then he's had a sustained period. I mean, he's got 15 games under it, and I think he is the most of this group on here. So he clearly is heading towards that way. But then the Wolves Man United game, I actually felt he tried to play advantage too much, and we've discussed this about Howard Webb many years ago. You don't always have to play advantage.
No, I think that if you look at the top class European referees outside the English Premier League, they go for safe refereeing. Now, at times I would discuss with referees periods in the game when they need to go safe refereeing. When that bubble's getting a bit hot, you know, the temperature's going up, that's when you need to come in. It's when you've had a bit of a rough decision, dare I say, or whatever, just reimpose your authority. Having said that, Tierney has put in some impressive performances. So for me, he'd be moving in that direction for absolute.
Yeah, I think they are, and I think the other one moving that way is David Coots at the moment. Now he's on here, only had 8 games. We didn't get many games at the beginning, but he seems to be getting games now.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
I mean, I at the moment I would be searching for appointments week in, week out.
Yeah.
We know he's a good VAR operator.
Yeah.
We know he's really good at that. But the first point of call is, can I have him out in the middle?
Yeah.
So he would be getting games consistently, building his confidence, building his reputation, and becoming a top-class referee, which he's got the capabilities of doing.
Now, we've got some steady eddies here, as I'll call them, which is your John Moss, who actually had a really good game at weekend.
Yes, he did.
Kevin Friend, Craig Pawson, Andre Mariner. That group there it must be a boss's heaven in the sense of, okay, we've got the big games, but I've got 4 good referees here that could step up and make the difference, but I've got 4 good referees who I can rely on.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt Moss impressed in his last game. I thought
he did the week before as well.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he's lost a little bit of weight, but he's certainly gained motivation and seems to be moving really well around the field of play. He's an experienced guy. He ought to be now at this end of the table. Mariner is a safe pair of hands. He's never going to shine brilliantly, but he's going to get through games.
So laid back.
Well,
he's so laid back. He seems so laid back on the pitch.
Yeah,
never met him as a person. He seems so laid back.
He is exactly what the picture he paints. He's an honest guy, puts in the work rate in his training, does everything right. He was the easiest referee that I've ever had to manage.
Right, okay.
Simple as that.
That's good. Coming down here, we've got Andy Madley, who, congratulations, like David Coote, has now got his FIFA, which is really good. I'm a bit on the sense of he's got 6 games under his belt. I've seen him in a couple, and I'm surprised he's not higher on the numbers.
Yeah, I think he like everything else, I think he needs more games. 6 games and he gets the FIFA badge. He's remarkable. I can think of many referees that didn't secure the FIFA badge, who probably now are thinking, wow, that's premature in their career. It's come early.
Yeah.
So what they've got to do is make use of it. But their boss has got to give them more games.
Yeah.
Because they now need that presence in Europe.
Well, I'm quite surprised that Rob Jones has only had the one game because he impressed. I was surprised at how good he was. Now, is it a one-off game? Is it a case of, is he doing it in the Championship? I don't know. It'd be really good to find out how he's actually doing, because what I saw in the Premier League, it never fazed him. He had several match-defining incidents that he had to sort out with VAR.
He did.
So I've put him in here in this middle block but I might be wrong after one game because I haven't included these. It was just that he completely stood out and impressed.
When you talk to a sports psychologist, he will tell you about the familiarity of the stadium in which they're operating helps their performance. You're only going to get that if he's either put out as fourth officials on regular basis.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be a VAR. He needs to feel that he's a part of the group. One game, he doesn't feel part of the group.
Yeah.
And it's this has to be the thought of the boss, bringing them in, giving them the games, and I think one's not enough.
Would you have appointed him to another game to say, was it a one-off, or can you do that on a regular basis?
Yes, I would. For me, it was like 3 or 4 games.
Yeah.
If I was confident they were moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
But then there was the other side. If they didn't perform to the standard I expected, then I'd go, you've now got to really prove it.
Yeah.
And that would be me then trotting toward a Championship game, sitting in the stands and watching him personally referee.
Okay. The group I've put here, people might think I'm being a bit harsh on some referees on here, because I mean Chris Kavanagh I've put at the top. He's got 15 games. But the reason I've put him on there, because he has given me great advice in the past, is I can't see him moving to steady, but he also isn't in a bottom group that he doesn't deserve to be there, because he clearly deserves to be there. He's a really good referee. There's just things not happening for him at the moment. What would you do to get him there?
I'll tell you what I think about Chris. I think, first of all, he's a very good decision maker, and so is Craig Pawson.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best decision makers in terms of accuracy of application of law. There's a degree of complacency visually.
Right.
I think both of them, and I've mentioned it in the past with Craig Pawson,
Body language.
but let me say that I think he's working on it.
Yes.
On the recent games. I think Chris Kavanagh's got into this, I'm one of the team, I'm getting the games, I am what I am.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're running a sweetie shop and you're going to get the same sales year in, year out, you regress as a business. Yeah. What you have to do is, the challenge is always the next game. And the next game has to have as much effort. And I just feel at times there's a degree of complacency. I've made it. And I don't know if it's second, third year syndrome, I don't know, but he needs to kick up the rear.
Do you team up? Because it's like, if you look up there, we've got Mike Dean. Now, Mike Dean's not FIFA, don't know how, that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
But we've got Mike Dean up there. Mike Dean's 51, okay, but looking fitter than he's ever looked.
Absolutely.
Could you team Mike with Chris? Because they're not a million miles apart in terms of the map and where they live and stuff. For Mike Dean to work direct, do they do this? Do they team up? So, like, such as Michael, would he take Rob Jones under his wing and stuff like that? Does that happen, or is it when you're at that level, you're on your own?
I don't think I think at this level they are to some degree on their own.
Yeah.
I think that one of the genuine errors that the PJML made was Mike Riley offloaded a lot of key, if you like, coaches.
Right.
And didn't really replace them with quality. Yeah, I know Alan Wiley's in that crop of coaches that they've got. But for me, I think they lost a lot of expertise. What these referees need is an individual coach. In the past, there were people like Ron Groves, Roger Dilks, Rob Harris, Paul Durkin, been there, done it. You know, if you're part of a working environment, you can't really get the message across.
What about Graham Poll? Someone like Graham Poll working with one of these, could that happen?
Well, that's up to Graham Poll and up to Mike Riley. I doubt whether that would happen.
Yeah.
But what the point I'm trying to make here is, it's a level of independence. You know, at the point when I was coaching someone like Howard Webb and Mark Clattenburg, you know, a coach has to be really honest.
Yeah.
And and the integrity issues are massive. That
Yeah.
what you say is said in confidence,
Yeah.
but you've also got to have an ear to listen. And I think sometimes there's an inbuilt, I've made it, I've done it, I've seen it, therefore why do I need advice? And sometimes it's the opposite. When the referee comes off a game, he feels it's not gone so well, and the guy sitting in the car as you drive home says, actually, this has gone really well for these reasons. These are the areas. So I think it's this tweaking independently that's not taking place.
Right. Because I mean, I've got Peter Banks in there. That's just purely because there's been a few different performances. Peter, I'm quite confident will go that way. I do believe that. But I've got a couple of the older stalwarts, if you like, in here, and I've seen quite a mixed thing now. If you want something like Lee Mason, he had Watford, Manchester United.
Yeah,
I thought he had a really good game.
I'm
But the Newcastle game, the penalty that he missed, there was all sorts. It was weird.
I think if I was PGMOL,
Yeah.
I'd say, right, fine, this is the end of the season.
Yeah.
I said this 2 years ago, by the way, that I think Lee is, at the end of the day, there's got to be churn. And there's got to be performance levels, parameters that are set. He is, in my opinion, at the bottom end. He is one of the older guys. He's seen it, done it, and all that goes with it, fine, you've got to go out of grass. Give him another job. Give him a coaching role.
You could do VAR.
Or VAR.
VAR would be spot on.
Graham Scott, I don't see in the same light. There are times when I like Graham Scott as a referee. I think he's got presence and I think he's got authority. And he reads the game well. So for me, he's a member of the squad. He earns his place on the squad.
So do you think with Graham Scott, because I watched the Watford Tranmere game, do you think then with Graham Scott, it was literally Watford 3-0 up, relax, and then the mistakes happen?
Well, this is why we introduced 10-minute refereeing.
Yeah.
Graham Paul and Graham Barber promoted that idea. It wasn't mine.
Yeah.
And that's why they brought that in.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like last night, Mike Dean having a superb game, Man City, Man United.
Yeah.
There's going to be people saying, well, it's easy.
Yeah,
These are not easy games.
Yeah, they're not, no.
And he's only to miss something big, and the whole thing goes pear-shaped. What I'm sure he did at half-time was he went in, and the first thing he's thinking about, I've got game one out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm now going into the second game. So I'd like Graham Scott. My advice to him is adopt 10-minute refereeing.
Yeah, okay.
And somebody, look, the 10 minutes gone, it's going okay, or you need to tighten up, Graham.
Yeah.
Because I think he gets...
Yes.
Sometimes when you're dealing with big games, a big environment, big name players and all that, the danger is you become a spectator.
Yeah.
Because what is happening in front of you is marvellous to be involved in. And I think sometimes it's got a passion.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes that puts him into a dwell mode where I think you need to kick up the rear.
Yeah, that's good, that. So, based on yours, I'm going to go like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I'm going to put Chris a bit over there because I think he will move over there. We spoke about those two. I've put Simon Hooper on there because...
He's not.
I'm uneasy when I watch him referee.
I'll be brutal.
Yeah.
Because that's what it has to be.
Yeah.
If you're running this and this is a team,
Yeah.
and we're going to play Man United next week,
Yeah.
right? The one thing you don't do is put in weak players.
Yeah.
For me, he's not made it.
Yeah.
And I think he's had long enough
To prove it, he's yeah. So
he might be good in the Championship.
Would you do him as a VAR?
No, I think that I need fresh faces.
Right.
I want new.
So you will technically go right. Okay, you're off to the championship.
You're not.
But what we're going to do is look at you guys and give you a chance.
No, I wouldn't look at Oliver Langford either.
You wouldn't.
I'll tell you, I think he's inconsistent.
Right. Okay.
Look, if I'm a spectator, I like him refereeing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I'm a referee watching him, I'm thinking this game's going to explode because he's not in control.
Okay. So
he's not a Premier League referee.
So that's it then. So we'll go like that, which is interesting because then I know in the Championship there's a few Darren England. I mean, Andy Madley's made the jump. Darren England's in there. I can't remember the other person's name, and I will try and remember it because I think I've seen him a couple of times, and I just like what he does. So, but we're building a team, There's definitely a team being built. I think if we can get over the management and the decisions that are being made at the top, this could potentially be a world-class team.
Well, I think that it's a spin. You're in a washing machine.
Yeah.
And you've got to have churn.
Yeah.
And the pre-planning that has to go in, the succession planning has to go in, is at what point do you bring... Now, I would bring Darren England in, right?
Yeah.
And then give him the coaching. He's in the environment of working
He did have
with
Bournemouth
them.
at weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine. Bring him in, because you know that, who knows? Mike Dean might suddenly come and surprise me and say, right, I've had enough. I'll let me tell you here, I'd be sat in this chair saying, Mike, you're refereeing, you're on form.
Yeah.
I want you another season. And I would have said that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I would have said, don't even contemplate thinking about retirement, Mike, or moving into another zone.
Yeah. Because you're
too good.
Brilliant. So, quite a bit of a long show, but there was so much to discuss on each individual referee that we've had in the Premier League this season. If you agree, feel free to get in touch. If you disagree, feel free to get in touch. I love different people's views on this. Keith and I express so many different views on Twitter as well between us, so please feel free, get in touch. Do you agree with what we've said about referees? Honestly, tweet us.